Good morning. My name is Janice Bellucci,
Recording in
I'm
progress.
from California. Today, I'm here to discuss a U.S. Supreme Court decision made in the year 2003 that was a terrible mistake. And here is my speech. The U.S. Supreme Court made a terrible mistake 21 years ago. It is a mistake that has significantly harmed more than 1 million families in the United States of America. Harm that includes both vigilante violence and suicide. The court's terrible mistake was made in March 2003 in the decision Smith versus Doe. In that terrible decision, the court wrongly decided that registration is a regulatory requirement, not punishment. And as a result, new registration laws have been enacted and applied retroactively for more than 20 years. One of those laws is Megan's Law that requires states to post personal information on the public internet about persons required to register, including their home address and photo, even if their offense took place before the internet was created. Smith versus Doe, the court's terrible decision, is based in large part upon a myth. The myth is that people who are required to register reoffend at a rate of up to 80%. The source of this myth was not empirical data. Instead, it did not come from government or academic reports. Instead, the myth came from a marketing statement that was published in Psychology Today magazine. That is outrageous. And to make matters worse, the marketing statement has been retracted by the individual who made it. The court's decision is also based upon a dubious statement made during oral argument. The person who made that statement, then private attorney John Roberts, said that the requirement to register was no more burdensome than applying for membership at Price Club, a discount store. This is the same John Roberts who is currently the Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court. Perhaps at the time that private attorney John Roberts had never applied for membership in Price Club, perhaps at the time attorney John Roberts had no idea that people who are required to register and their families were already experiencing significant harm, such as lack of housing, under or unemployment, and the worst social stigma one could imagine. That is why we are here today, to educate the Chief Justice John Roberts and the remaining 8 justices of the Supreme Court. We are also here to demand that the court admit that Smith versus Doe is a terrible mistake, a mistake that must be fixed now. We remind Chief Justice Roberts and the 8 justices he leads that the court has made terrible mistakes in the past. For example, the court approved separate but equal education in Plessy versus Ferguson, and the court approved internment camps for U.S. citizens of Japanese descent. The court corrected the terrible mistakes they made in those cases. It's time now for the court to correct the terrible mistake it made 21 years ago in Smith versus Doe. Until the court corrects Smith versus Doe, more than 1 million American families will continue to be significantly harmed. Some of them will experience homelessness, many of them will be unemployed, and others will be hunted down by vigilantes and killed. Chief Justice Roberts, it's time to admit you made a mistake. Registration is not the same or even similar to applying for membership at Price Club. Instead, registration is punishment. Chief Justice Roberts, it's time for you to lead this court and overturn Smith versus Doe. And it's time for the court to hear us say, Smith versus Doe must go. Smith versus Doe must go. Smith versus Doe must go. Thank you very much. And to our next speaker, David Garlock.
Hey everybody, my name is David Garlock. I am a formerly incarcerated individual, and I'm an unlikely advocate in this fight. Since I am somebody who was sexually abused as a child and I took the life of our abuser, I got into this work after I graduated college, and it really opened my eyes to the registry, to open my eyes to persons forced to register. And that is a term that I use. I hate the term sex offender Because if you use the term sex offender, you're saying this is intrinsically who you are. You will not change, and this is your label for life. So persons forced to register, person who was convicted of a sexual offense, these are humanizing terms that allows individuals to see that they are not the worst mistake that they've done. As a client of Brian Stevenson, I had to challenge and wrestle with myself when I got a job working as a program director of a Christian reentry home that primarily worked with persons forced to register. And I had to challenge myself. How was I going to view these men that I was working with? And this job changed my whole perspective, and that is why I'm in this fight. To see that there's 1 million people on the registry, that a list that's supposed to protect children, but it actually harms children, because we want to look at the children that are potentially being saved, but are we really thinking about the family members and the children of the registrants and what they have to go through and the bullying that they could potentially go through at school because a classmate found out that they were on their dad or mom was on the registry? And that's what we have to realize. If we want to protect children, we need to abolish the registry. We need to take that money that is being spent on this list that isn't protecting anybody, and we need to use that to have prevention. We need to have education, because that is where the protection of kids is going to come. 95% of sexual offenses that are happening right now are not by people on the registry, and these are by people the person knows. So we have to educate, and that's what's going to help with prevention. So thank you for this. We want Smith versus Doe to go, but I'm always thinking about the title of the conference last year when we were here, and it's teamwork makes a dream work, and that's what we have to do. We have to come together. Anybody who is in this fight, we have to come together and we have to fight together. We can't come in with different affiliations. We all want the same thing. We all want the registry to be abolished. So thank you. And now, Shauna Baldwin.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shauna, and 22 years ago, I was in a situation that by today's standards would mean that I was sexually trafficked. And at the time that I was convicted of it, that's not how they saw it, but I was a teenager who had sex with another teenager while the 31-year-old watched us and gave us alcohol to do so. I have been on the registry now for since 2003. I am now 41 years old. I will tell you the only thing that the registry has ever done is prevent me from moving forward with my family and my children. I'm not advocating for abuse. That's not what any of us up here are doing. In fact, most of us up here have been abused, which is why something was weirdly wired in our brain that made us think that whatever situation we found ourselves in was okay. The laws, I was gonna stop doing this, guys. I don't want anyone looking at me like I'm a predator or anyone else that I care about. But there are laws that are changing so fast that my children and your children can get on the registry faster than anything else right now. So I decided, because I do have children and I do want a better world for them, that I want to speak on how this is punishment and how this helps nothing. It is a false sense of security, and it is a list of names that people can just be mad at or go do whatever they want to because all of their information is public. I can't tell you how many times I've been walking somewhere with my kids or whatever, and somebody looks at me and immediately I think they know who I am, and they're gonna either beat me up, they're gonna do something. I live in fear. I am more afraid of you guys than you guys are of me, and I can guarantee you that. I and everyone else in this world should be able to move past the things that they have done that are not maybe the best parts of their life, but it's called learning. And as humans, we don't learn unless we make mistakes and do the wrong things. And I'm just asking, since You guys haven't done it. Please listen to the ones that have and let us explain to you how this is not working. Because if we really don't want any more victims, we will all work together on how we can stop that from happening.
Amen.
Good morning. Can you hear me? All right. So my name is Danelle, and I am a mama of 2, a grandma of 7, and a great-grandma of 2. And I am a woman forced to register. And I am here today to talk to you about this day, 2003, when a terrible mistake was made. A devastating decision was made with lack of understanding for the damage that would be caused and lack of respect for the spirit and meaning of our Constitution. Smith versus Doe opened a Pandora's box to unleash the proliferation of registry laws that have grown exponentially on the federal and state level like an aggressive cancer. Ever since that day, now we are faced with a system of oppression and persecution that has stripped us of our constitutional civil rights. Long, long after we have paid our debt to society. We are shamed, humiliated, ostracized, prevented from getting jobs, banished from our communities, and left homeless. We and our families are targeted by vigilantes, discriminated against in every way, every day. Thanks to this disastrous decision. According to the law, we are no longer human beings. We have been reduced to being forever referred to by our offense, subject to perpetual punishment. Today, from the steps of the United States Supreme Court, I demand that Smith versus Doe be overturned. I demand the abolishment of the registry. I demand it. I'm a citizen. I demand that the registry be overturned in every state of this United States. In honor of all those who have suffered, the families and the registrants under this oppressive system, I am here to, and all of them who have suffered death at the hands of vigilantes, I am here with my sisters and my brothers to fight on. Thank you.
We are humans. We are human.
Good morning, everybody. So I really was just going to do a recap and close it down, but I do want to add a few things. You know, what Smith versus Doe means to me. I made a horrible mistake 20 years ago that I owned it. I went to prison for it. I went through therapy for it. And then my sentence was done. And when that happened, I decided to start a family, not realizing that my punishment wasn't over anymore. Those collateral consequences were just going to go to my kids, who I'm supposed to be the protector of. Smith versus Doe took away the right for me to be able to protect my own kids, to attend their own school functions, be able to be a dad. Yet Smith versus Doe is supposed to be the law that protects our children. Yet in my family, it harms them. It takes away a supportive family. It takes away the right for me to be able to support them in every aspect a father should. So today, I'm not here for me. I'm not here as a person forced to register. I'm here to be the voice for my kids, because they have every right to live a life of pursuit and happiness without taking the punishment from my mistakes. Because not only did I get a life sentence, but they get a life sentence. Because when I die, they're always going to be associated to me. When they go to college, they're going to be associated to me. When they go to high school, they're going to be associated to me. And how come my mistake 20 years ago, because of Smith versus Doe and the ruling, how is my mistake 20 years ago supposed to be passed down through generation to generation? How do you break the cycle of harm? when you just continually pass it down through generation to generation. So I'm here today. Smith versus Doe needs to go so we can finally break that cycle, break those chains, and start on a new way. Find a new place to be, find a new motivation. Take that money, take that time, and put it in education, because sexual prevention starts within our own home. As someone who is forced to register, I'm not just gonna let my kids go down and talk to the neighbor. I don't know him. I'm gonna educate them. I'm gonna teach them everything they can so we stop the cycle. We break the chains. So I just want to invite everybody next year. We're gonna do the same thing every year until Smith versus Doe is overturned. I know this year was a little short notice. Next year, mark it down. Next year, we will be here again. All of us standing in unity. And every year until Smith versus Doe goes.
Smith versus Doe must
go.
Smith versus Doe must go. Smith versus Doe must go.
Thanks, everybody. And anybody that's interested in next year or any comments or to get the recording, please send an email to info@dcvigil.com. Thank you, guys.